Everybody, Hillary here, and today I want to give you some pointers on pilot resumes. So I look at hundreds and hundreds of resumes a week, sometimes in a day. And I see some things that people could probably do better and help them get jobs and not get passed over for opportunities. So I wanted to share some of those things with you all. Some of the things that I see, some of the things that sometimes leave me with questions. And a lot of times as recruiters, we're not going to stop to ask the question. We are just going to look at the next resume and move on. So these are some things that hopefully will help you not get passed over when you put your resume out there. So on a pilot resume, one of the big things, don't make me look for your qualifications and your flight time. Have that right up front, all your pilot certifications and licenses, and a complete breakdown of your hours. So some smaller airlines, especially if you're starting out with like your first airline job or your time building job, some of their hiring requirements, especially if they're 135, we need to see the complete breakdown of all the categories, the cross-country time, night time, all of those things. And another thing a lot of people don't know is on the 135 cross-country requirement, anything point to point counts. So it doesn't fall under that 50 nautical mile rule. That your ATP, that at least the time that you're tracking for your ATP qualifications is the 50 nautical mile rule, but not true for 135. So it's always good to track that time. You never know when you might find yourself in a 135 job. So when I see that listed out separately, I know that someone has done their homework and they know what they're doing when they're building their resume. Another thing that is nice to see is if you are restricted ATP qualified, please put that on your resume. Again, for 135 operators and probably some other operators that have different than ATP minimums for their job qualifications, we need to see the complete breakdown on there, and then we also want to know how you qualify for restricted ATP. There are several different ways that you can qualify for that. If you're a military pilot or former military pilot, you qualify at 750 hours total time. And then there's a breakdown in there, right? If you have gone to a 2-year university program, that would qualify you at 1,250 hours. And then if you've been to a 4-year program, that is going to qualify you at 1,000 hours. So if I see your resume and I don't see that on there, I may or may not know that you qualify for ATP at lower time. A lot of times we can look at where you went to school and maybe decipher that information, but don't leave it up to us guessing. Put it on there. I'm a restricted ATP qualified at this hours, 1,000 hours, 750, 1250, whatever that is, put it on there. Very helpful for recruiters when they're trying to determine how you qualify. Some airlines have multiple fleet types, and so they're trying to see like which one do you fit into. So that's extremely helpful to put on there as well. And put your work authorization status. Put if you have a U.S. passport. Some carriers require U.S. passports. Some carriers that operate internationally require U.S. passports only. They do not hire pilots who have a green card. So it may be helpful to put that on there because, again, if there's a question, if I'm not sure, I'm going to pass and I'm going to look at the next resume. So as much information that you can put on there, the better when it comes to that, so that as recruiters, we don't have questions. We can know the information and then determine if you're a qualified candidate that we want to move forward. Typos and formatting. You would be surprised at some of the very terrible resumes out there. Get a nice format to your resume. Word has pre-made templates. Typos, misspellings, anything like that can get you disqualified. You're never even going to make it to a phone screen because you had a typo on your resume. So get a second set of eyes. I highly recommend have a friend read it over. Have maybe a friend who's really good at English read it over. Have somebody else look at your paperwork. We're all busy. We all make errors. And I'll tell you, I can sit there and I can look at something for an hour and then pass it to a fresh set of eyes and they find an error with it. So use your friends, use your network. Don't just rely on yourself. Bounce this off of people. Remember, your resume is your foot in the door. That's the first thing. If we can't tell enough about you by your resume that we want to know more about you, then you're just going to be in the no pile. So you've got to spark our interest with what we see on the resume. Put all the extra things you do. Those look good, right? So as a pilot, it's not just about having the licenses and the hours. Everybody applying has the licenses and the hours. So what are the extra things that you have done? What have you done? Have you been a check airman? Have you been involved with the safety department at the organization that you're currently at or a previous organization? All of those things matter, and they tell us a story about you and where your strengths are and your background and, maybe subject areas that you have, passion about or that you're stronger in. All of those things tell us a story. I know keeping the resume to one page is also important, but it's also important for us to know you, not just a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper. We really want to get to know you as a person. So the extra stuff does count that you do. And you did it and you put in the effort, so put it on your resume. A 10-year history, that's always nice as well. Make sure in aviation, a 10-year history is standard. Don't leave us guessing. I know some of you watching this may not have a 10-year work history. So put dates in there and put education. Don't leave any gaps. Just put, well, I was in college or I was in high school during these dates so that we can see the full 10-year history. So those are some pointers that I have for you today. I'll probably be doing more of these. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I look at resumes all day long and I want to help you to be able to get the job that you want and have that great resume that's going to get passed on to the next step. And then the next step is you selling you. So make sure you can do that as well. And I will do some future videos and give you some tips on how to do that. Everybody have a great day, and hopefully some of these things that I have told you today will help you write a great resume, or maybe spruce up the one that you have, add a couple things. All right, well, if you have questions about this segment, you can put them in the comments and I will send you an answer. Thanks for tuning in. This is Hillary Patterson's channel.